11-year-old girl becomes a sensation after discovering something exceptional at the Tennessee lake. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. We think you may relate to the incident that has happened to many of us. What is the most beautiful thing you remember from your childhood? Lots of things might have come into your head while thinking about this question, but did you notice how curious we used to be and how we used to question everything around us? What happened to us? Where did we lose that curiousness in the middle of growing up? Ryleigh Taylor always had this curious brain, and seeking out things around her made her very happy. She used to find things inside and outside the house which made her intrigued about stuff. After finding something, she used to run toward her parents to show her discovery and ask them all sorts of questions. Her parents have always been supportive towards her, and her question-everything attitude made them really proud of her. But who has ever imagined that Rayleigh's curious nature will discover something extraordinary that many tried but couldn't find? Believe us, it is something you haven't seen before. Her discovery made the headlines, and her story is worth sharing and reading. The Taylor family decided to have a family fishing trip, and Ryleigh never thought she would discover something this big that'll be all over the news and will change her life forever. We have heard so many tales regarding a person wandering in a jungle and stumbling upon something that was meant to be discovered by only that individual. They were all stories, but what we have here is a real-life experience of a young girl who was destined to discover this amazing and shocking thing. You will find out. Ryleigh is an 11-year-old girl from Tennessee who made an ancient discovery, and first, even she wasn't sure about it. But later she found out the real truth behind it, and she and her parents were in shock. So what happened basically? As we already told you, Ryleigh was on a fishing trip with her parents, and she saw something in the water, but from a distance. It was really difficult to make out what it was. She asked her parents to take her closer to it, and she couldn't believe her eyes. At first, her parents asked her to stay away from it, as it looked very creepy. But her curiosity didn't listen to anybody, and she picked it up, and something this amazing was discovered. Ryleigh's parents decided to homeschool her, and we think they did an incredible job. But think about it, an 11-year-old who has never been to school but still managed to discover something this amazing. This proves that we can't ignore the importance of homeschooling, and everything depends on your kid and her interests. Ryleigh showed her interest, and she knew how important it is for a person to have knowledge of things. She understood it all because of the teachers she had, her parents. One day, Ryleigh wasn't in the mood for class and asked her mother, Tammy, to give her a day off. Don't think that like just right now we're telling you how important learning is for her and now she wants to take a day off. Don't get carried away, and remember, she was still a kid. Her mother did give her a day off, but with a twist. Ryleigh has the habit of putting her parents in situations like these, and to overcome them, they came up with a plan of outdoor classes. So every time Ryleigh said she's not in the mood for a class, they would take her out and use it as a chance to make her learn about the environment and great outdoors. Soon, this practice turned out to be the class in the history of schooling. And you'll find out pretty soon why we are saying this, because what Ryleigh found in the water is nothing but extraordinary. Tammy has taken her daughter Ryleigh out for teaching on several occasions, but she thought of changing the scenery for once, and this time it was a lake. Tammy and her husband took Ryleigh to Douglas Lake to achieve two goals. One, they will have a family outing, and second, Ryleigh might learn something new. Tammy thought this was an amazing opportunity, but little did she know her daughter was already absent-minded on the entire trip. She was distracted by the fishing trip, and more than her mother's teaching, she felt closer to the fishes. One after the other, she saw several fishes in the water, and Tammy thought they came for nothing, and she was already hearing from her other parents how bad it is for Ryleigh. Every other parent in the neighborhood kept questioning Tammy's decision of teaching her daughter at home instead of sending her to school. Tammy was already questioning her decision, but Ryleigh made her proud after discovering the most amazing thing that proved everybody wrong. Parenting is one of the toughest jobs in the world, and not everybody can master the technique of great parenting. But Tammy here was fighting against the odds. She decided to teach her daughter at home, and she was managing both the roles of a mother and a teacher at the same time. There is a misconception that revolves around homeschooling that schools are the only place where your kids can learn better, and because of that, other mothers passed so many tantrums on her. She was getting really frustrated about everything, and she almost decided to send Ryleigh to school, but she didn't, and we should be grateful for her. Teaching her at home and not sending her to any school was one of the best decisions she ever made. If she would have listened to the world, her daughter wouldn't have discovered the most amazing discovery in the world. Tammy took her daughter to her favorite fishing spot, and it was time for Ryleigh to fulfill her destiny. Sun was already above their heads, and it was getting unbearable to stay in the sun for long, and especially for Ryleigh, who kept asking her mother for more water. Tammy was worried about Ryleigh getting a sunstroke, and she asked her to take a break and move to the shade on the shoreline. Destiny was playing its part, and everything was going as planned. Ryleigh listened to her mother and was exploring the shore, and there it was. Tammy asked her not to get too close, but who has been able to stop a curious person? She found it. Ryleigh was sitting under the tree shade when her eyes caught something at the shoreline of the water. She wanted to take a closer look, but her legs weren't responding to her, and she was feeling really tired from all the fishing. She couldn't take her eyes off from that thing and kept staring at it. Tammy even called her name, but she didn't listen to her even once, and she kept her eyes on that thing as it was controlling Ryleigh. Her mother thought she was just tired and into her own thoughts, but Ryleigh suddenly stood up and started running towards the shoreline without giving a thought. Her mother kept calling her back, but there was nothing which can stop her. The thing called her, and she was there, standing in front of it, staring at it without blinking. She picked it up and shouted, "Mom, look what I found." Ryleigh was shouting, "Look, Mother, look." But her mother was sitting too far away from where Ryleigh was standing, and she couldn't make out what her daughter was trying to show her. But being a mother, she was worried because children find so many things on the shoreline without even knowing what they are and end up being hurt. Tammy ran towards her daughter shouting, "Put that thing down," but Ryleigh was so excited as if she knew what it was. What is it? If you have ever been near the shoreline, you might be aware of the fact that it's not an easy task to move on the shoreline that is filled with slippery rocks, right? Same happened with Ryleigh, and she was just a kid, and that too a tired one from all the activity in the sun. She was walking on the rocks, and she realized pretty soon that it's not easy. She was minding her path because if she falls, her mother would give her a scolding of a lifetime. She was feeling like she's a little explorer, and then her right feet lost balance and she fell down. Ryleigh lost her balance and something caught her eyes. She was in pain after her legs hit the rocks, and she was afraid of something which looked like a sea creature and was very different from other creatures she had seen. She couldn't move, as it will worsen if the creature bites her or something. She stayed there for a while and kept calling her parents for help. Her parents were still at a distance from her, and they were watching their daughter struggle in pain, and they could tell she was afraid of something. They kept running towards her, and when they reached, something unbelievable happened. There are some sea creatures that you should mind while walking on the shore. They might seem to you like very cute and calm, but trust us, they aren't. Their bite can be very painful and fatal, and some can even kill you if the bite is severe. There have been so many cases related to these creatures that today you can see several signboards warning you to stay away from the shore or mind so-and-so creatures. Here are some of the creatures that you should be aware of. These squishy, cute creatures injure many beach lovers, and going by the census recording by the authorities, the cases of jellyfish injuring people are more than any other creature found in the sea. A sting from jellyfish tentacles is said to be very painful, even when it's dead. Did you understand the severity of the sting? The U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institutes of Health provided us with many books and research for treating jellyfish stings. The next one is even more fatal, and you'll be sorry if you step on it. Mind the urchins while walking on the shore. If you read this warning, please don't ignore it and take good care while taking a walk. They are mostly found near sandy or rocky shorelines. They can injure a person when their spine touches human skin. There are a variety of books on how to treat a sting if inflicted by sea urchins. Lionfish are found in the large areas of the East Coast, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico. They are sure lovely to look at, but don't you dare touch them. The lionfish's spine is filled with deadly venom, and if it stings you, it can cause you severe pain, sweating, breathing problems, and in worst condition, paralysis. If you ever come across lionfish, we hope you don't, stay away from it, and if unfortunately it stings you, seeking immediate medical attention should be your first priority. Found in that parts of the mid-Atlantic, southeast United States, Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico, stingrays can be very dangerous as they have the habit of swimming near the shores. What makes them dangerous? It is their ability to hide at the bottom of the water and covering themselves with sand, which is the reason why people don't see them and step on them. Usually they are not that aggressive, but their sting can be very fatal, and seeking medical attention in that situation is something you should seek for. Why sharks are the last one to be on the list? It is because shark attacks are rare. They are most active at dawn and dusk, so mind yourself going in the water during that time of day. You might have heard of their one specialty, that they can smell blood. It's not a myth. Sharks do get attracted to blood, and it is often suggested that a wounded person shouldn't enter inside water. If you come across one, it's better to leave the water as soon as possible and notify the closest lifeguard in sight. Ryleigh's parents kept running toward her to help her, and they saw she was holding something in her hands. They couldn't make it out as they were still too far away. Her mother was worried because the thing seemed like a sea creature, which can be dangerous. The mother shouted, "Throw it down!" Ryleigh didn't listen to her, as she was really excited and she almost forgot all her pain and was dancing on the rocks. Ryleigh started running towards her parents to show them what she found. She thought she was holding a massive bug, but when they took a closer look, it was something else. Ryleigh thought that she's uncovered some unknown bug when she first saw it. After she held it in her hands, she was shocked to see that it was actually a fossil of some extinct species. You will be surprised to know how old the fossil was. Her parents were still in shock after they saw it, but even to them, it looked like a fossil. They contacted a local professor, and what he told them was something astonishing. Ryleigh's discovery of this fossil was about to change her life forever. Tammy knew one local paleobiology professor, Dr. Colin Sumrall. When she told him about the discovery her daughter has made, he was really excited to see it in person. They scheduled the meeting, and the very next day they were in his office. Ryleigh was so attached to her discovery that she was hugging the fossil, and when the professor asked her to show it to him, she just didn't give it to him that easily, and simply showed him the fossil while holding it in her hands. The professor was smiling on this act of hers, and just by the look, he knew it was something extraordinary. He told them that what she had found was an ancient creature. What is the name of the creature? Dr. Colin Sumrall explained it's about as old as you can get. The professor told them that what Ryleigh has found is an ancient creature known as trilobite. What's even more surprising is that Ryleigh found a fossil which is 475 million years old. And it was a full fossil, which is not damaged from any place, which is very rare. Why is that, you ask? It is because during the fossilization process, it is a 99% possibility that the fossil will break. Surprisingly, Ryleigh managed to pull out the fossil without damaging it, and she did it without using any instruments that are usually required. Life took a very beautiful turn for her after the news of 475 million-year-old discovery came out. After finding some 475-million-year-old fossil, Ryleigh has proved that homeschooling is not below regular schooling. Her discovery was the answer her mother was looking for when other moms questioned her for not sending her to public school. Tammy has proved that she is awesome as a mother, but more awesome as a teacher. She taught her daughter right, and she passed with flying colors. But this was just the beginning, and the discovery held more for the whole Tommy family. When the local news caught wind of the discovery, they wanted to interview Ryleigh and her parents. What made the news more catchy is the fact that this fossil was one of the oldest ever found in the whole area. On one hand, Ryleigh was getting every attention and praise she deserved, and on the other, there were scientists who were feeling jealous of her discovery. One of the paleobiologists, Dr. Sumrall, who found his first fossil when he was 20 years old, said it's actually fairly unusual for someone to find a fossil. He made the discovery when he was 20 years old, and Ryleigh was just 11 years old when she discovered this 475-million-year-old fossil. Time will tell what the future holds for her. To find something like that, it could spark this youngster into a whole career, explained Dr. Sumrall. And that's what exactly Ryleigh wants to do with her life. Ryleigh was so inspired by her discovery that she wanted to pursue a career in this field, and wants to inspire other kids of her age who spend most of their time playing video games instead of exploring life outside. We hope she achieves great heights and her future is as long as the fossil's age. Trilobite comes from a group of insects and spiders. They first appeared on the face of Earth during the Cambrian period, i.e. 520 million years ago, and disappeared at the end of the Permian period, i.e. 250 million years ago. You can relate it to today's modern horseshoe crab. Dr. Sumrall shared he gets a request from several people who ask him to take a look at the fossil they have found, and it turns out that 95% of the time it is not even a fossil. Ryleigh's discovery was a special case, and he wishes her luck. There are a few other amazing discoveries that shocked the world and helped the scientists to understand Earth even better. Take a look at them. Every day, paleontologists all around the globe discover amazing fossils of extinct dinosaurs that surprisingly once lived on this planet Earth. Just like today, where we separate animals who eat other animals to those who don't, we had dinosaurs too who ate other dinosaurs, and some lived only by grass and other green stuff. But why are we telling you all of this? You know the deal from the movie Jurassic Park, right? Let's move forward with the discoveries. In the year 1676, in England, the remains of Megalosaurus were found by the professor from Oxford University. What's interesting is that he couldn't accept the fact that something this big ever lived on Earth, and he declared it as the skeleton of a human giant. Wait, what? Yeah, you read it right. Don't forget it was the 17th century when they found this, and it was hard for people to believe in many things they didn't understand. It took 150 years, and in the year 1824, William Buckland came to the rescue, who gave the proper explanation, and in 1844, Megalosaurus was given the tag of a dinosaur by the very famous paleontologist of that time, Richard Owen. In between the late 17th century and 18th century, in Central and Western Europe, some strange-looking bones were found along the rivers and lakes. What made this discovery so popular was that it was the first fossil that was found which belonged to an extinct animal. It was naturalist George Cuvier who discovered it, and because of this discovery, scientists accepted that before them there were some species who lived and died millions of years before humans stepped on the planet. Back in 1820, naturalist Gideon Mantell discovered some bones that belonged to the dinosaur Iguanodon. However, many naturalists like George Cuvier and William Buckland didn't believe in the discovery, as they both thought these bones are of a fish or rhinoceros. They weren't ready to believe some ancient reptiles existed on Earth and refuted the discovery made by Mantell. Later, Richard Owen gave a detailed view on Iguanodon, and they identified this dinosaur. Iguanodon became the second dinosaur after Megalosaurus, who was given an official genus identification. Hadrosaurus is considered to be one of the most important discoveries in the field of paleontology. And why is that? Because this was the first dinosaur that was discovered in full length. It was the American paleontologist Joseph Leidy who named this dinosaur Hadrosaurus. There are still some unsolved debates about its existence in the paleontology community. It was soon after, in 1860, when Charles Darwin published his famous groundbreaking book on the origin of species. There was a huge wave of discoveries related to dinosaurs. The most important one was of Archaeopteryx in Solnhofen, Germany, where the fossil was found of this ancient creature. Archaeopteryx discovery proved to be a very important one, as it helped the scientists to find a link that was lost between dinosaurs and birds. There have been several discoveries such as Sinosauropteryx, but this discovery has left a profound impact in the paleontology community. Between late 18th century and early 19th century, the scientists were discovering several fossils in Europe, which were comparatively small ornithopods, and theropods. But then the discovery of Diplodocus in western North America's Morrison Formation changed everything. The scientists' imagination around dinosaurs grew, and they started seeing the reality behind dinosaurs that made them the most fearful creatures on the earth. It was Edwin H. Colbert who discovered several skeletons that belonged to Coelophysis in 1947. The skeletons were found at the Ghost Ranch, a popularly known fossil site in New Mexico. What made this discovery so important was the fact that scientists got some insight into dinosaurs' nature. They found that Coelophysis had the same characteristics as present animals that traveled in herds. If you have seen the movie Jurassic Park, directed by Sam Neill, then you'll be surprised to know that it was Jack Horner who inspired him. Jack Horner is a very famous name inside the paleontology community who discovered the massive nesting grounds belonging to Maiasaura, a medium-sized hadrosaur that walked around the American West in a large number of herds. What Jack Horner found was amazing, as his discovery showed skeletons consisting of a baby and 2 adult Maiasaura, which proved the possibility of some dinosaurs had a family too, and they didn't kill their newborns after they were born. It is believed that Sinosauropteryx belongs to the same chain as Archaeopteryx. It is popularly known as Dino Bird and was discovered in China's Liaoning Quarry. The fossil the scientists found was in very good condition as compared to other discoveries, and it's now well preserved in the museum. This discovery helped further in solving the mystery behind the evolution of dinosaurs into birds. There are still many questions that need some answers, but we are progressing, and sooner or later we will have them. Discoveries made by Ryleigh and other scientists prove that there is a lot that we aren't aware of, and things like these will keep on coming out in the future that will shock the world around